Hey you guys, it's Shaliska signing in. Hey, Madam Illustrator. Let's do this again. Hey you guys, it's Shaliska signing in for another video. Welcome back. How y'all doing? What's up? You guys, we are growing. Thank you guys so much for the support and the love over my videos, over my social media platforms. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you guys. Honestly, it looks like we might have another giveaway in August. I'm feeling very generous this year. So, be on the lookout for that. The climate for friendships nowadays seem to be quite rocky. Standards all over the place, abandoning friends once new things come into their lives. And honestly, if we really take a deep dive, a lot of these friendships are quite shallow. There's no substance to it, and we need to understand what is going on. I've been hinting for the past couple videos that we would be going ahead to talk about friendships. And today we're going to be officially starting the mini series Girl Friendships versus Guy Friendships. Which one's worse? First, we're going to be talking about girl friendships, then going into guy friendships, and then comparing the two at the very end. And hopefully, we'll be able to have a chance to talk to some professionals about it. Today, we're going to be talking about girl friendships. We're going to be analyzing girl friendships at large. Then, we're going to be looking at common trends that we see through girl friendships. Then, we're going to look at it through movies and TV shows and then compare it to reality. It is said that female friendships have high levels of emotional intelligence and vulnerability, thus making those friendships very fragile and delicate. So, any situation that comes that's not properly handled can possibly break or even crack the bonds that hold the friendship together. As women are nurtured to be emotional beings in our society, it is very essential that they do have true female friendships, as it gives them support systems to be themselves and navigate life being emotional beings. So, if you see women who tend not to have that many female friendships, they would have a difficult time either tapping into their emotional side or even being able to interact with other women, as there is a certain level of skill and vulnerability that is needed to have those friendships and to maintain them throughout their course of life. A common concept that we see bleed throughout female friendships is that they tend to mimic slash replicate the relationships that they already have in their personal lives, whether it's their moms, their aunts, their sisters. They have this level of intimacy and responsiveness that is already there, that they now carry on that same skill towards their friendships, which ends up making it so much more intimate for them in their lives. Funny enough, I was able to really understand that concept in detail through the lens of the book A Mind of Her Own, The Evolutionary Psychology of Women. Honestly, you guys should check it out. I'm going to link it down below. We can see that female friendships tend to come together based on their shared core values, their loyalty, their emotional transparency, and their overall good emotional support that they provide for one another. Issues that tend to arise in female friendships is that they have higher expectations for their friends. They don't allow them to just be sometimes. Because their friends are part of their emotional support, they expect them to constantly be giving themselves to emotional labor all the time, even though they don't have those same expectations for the other relationships in their lives. So at times, the friends kind of feel as though they're being used or they're treated like a therapist. When other things come up in your life, you push them to the side, and when you need emotional support, you need someone to listen to you, you want to pull them close, you want them to hear all your issues and problems. It's like you're not really allowing your friendship to go through the proper phases of life, the proper seasons of life. You expect them to show up for you very heavy in this one season, but in the other season of life, you just abandon them. It seems that those friendships tend to be more transactional and not really allowing it to be a true proper relationship. Normal frameworks that we see in friendships are the duo, the BFF, the buds, and the big group of friendships, the squad goals type of friendships, where there might be 2 or 3 people in the friend group that might be closer to one another, but they all collectively are close. However, because women are geared to be more intuitive, to think more on their feet, and to kind of predict what's going to happen before it happens, they tend to believe that they know their friends the most. And they don't really understand the reality of their friendship at times because they are so engrossed with the idea of their friend and not the reality of their friend, or the overall reality of their friendship. So you tend to see certain mishaps or little, issues of miscommunication here and there because you see your friend in a specific way, whereas you're not seeing them for who they really are. And if we're going to be honest with ourselves, most women, if not all women, are conditioned to be people pleasers. They want to be liked, they want to be cherished, they want to belong, they want to fit in. So they find themselves doing things where they have to suppress their own personal feelings, their own personal emotions, just to have that person around, just to keep that person around. So that means when certain issues arise in a friendship that won't really help the longevity of said friendship, they will walk around it. They will close their eyes and just pretend it's not there. So when bigger issues are now arise, they have a difficult time speaking up for themselves or being able to actually properly communicate with their friend and solve the issue. We also have to understand that people pleasing is a form of manipulation. So you're not genuinely getting to know your friend. You're just finding out different ways that you can get your friend to like you so that you can keep them around, so that you can feel better about yourself, because it helps your self-esteem when you have other people around you who make you feel like you're the best thing known to man. So yeah, this concept was beautifully illustrated in the book BFF, The Truth About Female Friendships by Claire Cohan. An issue I started to understand and analyze a bit more when it came to the conversation of female friendships was that many female friendships out here are simply just placeholders for romantic relationships that these women would later on have in life. Meaning, those relationships that they are having are more of a priority to them than the female friendships that they're spending all these years building, simply because there is a certain emphasis for women to value romantic relationships over their normal platonic friendships that they're having with other women. And it kind of puts a damper on female friendships as a whole, because then you really start to see these female friendships being transactional. You see that because these women are able to provide emotional support, that later on it doesn't really add to them as women. It just is there. So if they have any issue, any problem, they can just run to them and receive whatever they want to receive. And you start to see this even after they're done with said cycles of romantic relationships, where they now need their friends, they now need their buddies, they now need people to go to the mall with them and watch movies with them or cry with them over heartbreak. But because you literally pushed them to the side when you had a romantic relationship, you don't really have those relationships anymore. You don't have those friendships anymore. And you end up being alone. So where should our priorities really lie when it comes to the conversation of relationships? Romantic relationships or platonic relationships you're having with other women? It's the platonic ones. The platonic ones hold me. I'm just saying. In movies and TV shows, we can see that for the younger demographic, we see the true bonds of friendship. We see these young girls going ahead to take many adventures and prioritize their female friendships the most. And we can also see that when smaller situations happen that are not properly discussed, that these friendships can actually fall apart. And I feel like that is very good, because you can actually analyze those relationships and apply certain lessons to your own personal relationship, especially as a young girl growing up. However, for that same set of representation, you can also see certain movies and TV shows show when young girls have crushes and everything like that, they would abandon their friends, or they're not listening as much, they're not paying attention as much, because they're so engrossed with the idea of romance at such a young age. And that even trickles on to movies and TV shows that we see garnered towards teenagers or university students, where their friendships take a back seat when it comes to the conversation of relationships in general. They want to have a significant other, they want to have love, they want to have romance. So therefore, their friendships tend to take the back burner. And like I said before, when it comes to the emotional support that they need, they'll start running back to their friends, because at times the standard that they have for those romantic relationships are not as high as those standards that they have for their friendships in total. Even though we do see representation like that, there are some great shows out there that do display women going ahead to navigate the dating world or navigate having romantic relationships and still having their friends come along the process with them. They don't use them as just therapists, but they actually are able to hold their romantic relationships to that same standard that they hold their friendships to. And I think that that is really, really good. And we should push for movies and TV shows like that. Now, when it comes to social media and the conversation of female friendships and romantic relationships, we can say that women are really good at shaming one another. And I like it. I like it. Holding other women accountable to the standards that they allow, that they hold for their romantic relationships is good. It's very, very good, because at times you see that these women would expect their best friends to do all these things for them, but their romantic relationships, because they seem desperate for it, they just allow anything. And it's like, no, babes, you can't live life doing that, because if you don't have high standards all throughout your life, you're just going to be expecting anything. You're just going to be allowing anything, and we can't have that. We cannot have that. It's not good. Because when one babe does things, when one babe does a thing a specific way, and she makes it known that she does things a specific way, then when other guys see that, they'll be like, why aren't you like her? Why are you so filled with high standards? Why do you got high standards? She's allowing this and you look very similar to her. So why can't you do the same thing that she's doing? It's like, no, stand up, girl. Stand up. Hold yourself to a high standard. All right? Because you hold your friends to a high standard, so you should hold that man to a high standard too. I'm just saying. Yeah. Also, when it comes to female friendships, there seems to be this notion that these women don't really know their friends. And it's indeed true. When you are already trying to be intuitive and you're trying to predict what's going to happen in your friendships, and you only know the idea of your friend and not the reality of who they are, and then on top of that, you people pleasing, you end up finding yourself in situations where you try to move your friendships outside of the normal ecosystem that you normally have them in, and then you start to see your friendships in a different light. For instance, there would be girlies online talk about, oh, my Cabo trip, my Miami trip, my Montreal trip with my girlies. And you end up seeing that those friendship groups or the duo ends up breaking up after those trips. And it's like, why? Why are you guys going on trips and you not coming back as friends? What's going on? Because they move their friendships out of the safe ecosystem, that environment that they're so used to, into a different environment where their survival skills are now heightened, and their, how do I put this? Their mindset, the way they're thinking is a little bit different. Because have you noticed when you're traveling, there's certain things that you're picking up on because you're in a new environment. You are in a new space. So therefore, you have to be alert. You have to make sure you understand your surroundings and you're aware of the people that you have around you. So you would not be on these trips with your friends and you expect that, oh, they're on the same thinking faculty as you, because you guys are friends. You guys spend a lot of time with each other in that controlled, in that familiar environment. Now you're going somewhere else and you're starting to realize, oh, this person doesn't know how to communicate properly. This person is not intuitive enough. This person doesn't know how to take social cues, or this person doesn't know how to speak up for themselves. So you're starting to see all these different things display themselves throughout the trip. And you're like, yeah, no, we can't be friends no more. I don't like you no more. Da, 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 da. It's like, y'all are not allowing yourselves to truly see things. And I like the fact that you guys are going on trips to see that, but why do you have to spend thousands of dollars to go on a trip to truly see the reality of your friendships? I'm just saying, something's gotta give. Y'all need to actually look at your friends. It's okay to not be compatible with everyone that you meet. You don't have to force compatibility in friendships the same way you shouldn't force compatibility in relationships. Everyone's not going to think the same way that you do. And that's perfectly fine. So stop forcing it. It's okay to be honest with yourself and be like, this person is not meant for me. This person like does certain things a certain way and I don't really like it. You know, the same way that you grade your romantic relationships is the same way you should grade your platonic relationships with other women. I'm just saying. Because think about it for a second. If you know a person swears, if you know that a person doesn't take, spirituality the same way that you do, if you know that they have really bad political views that you don't agree with, would you continue to have them in your space? No, because you guys do not align. So if you already know those things, why would you continue to entertain them? If you have that mindset already for romantic relationships, why not apply them for platonic relationships? You can have a good time, you can vibe and everything, but you should be able to gauge that, okay, this person cannot be my best friend, but they can be a close acquaintance, or they can be an acquaintance that I can see occasionally and would have good conversation. We can have good banter. Am I making any sense? I hope I am. Now, we can say that the way movies and TV shows reflect reality in this conversation is quite accurate. Honestly, they've done a really good job in movies and TV shows to analyze female friendships in depth. However, there are certain movies and TV shows that we can say are more satire, that give women relationships or female friendships a very bad rap. But honestly, I would say the comparison is really good. Which kind of relationships are harder to maintain, girl friendships or guy friendships?
Oh man, that's tough because it depends on the individual. It depends on where they grew up as well, right? I have friends from all over the world, so I think generally I would say so far I'll give the edge just a little bit. If I was talking about percentage, 51 to 49, the dudes, I'll give the dudes in that sense. Like, yeah, it's easier to maintain. Right?
Okay.
It's easier to maintain, right? We don't need to talk all the time, right? Just like 6 months or 3 months in, we could always have conversations, and it's like we caught up on life and whatnot. So like, yeah, it's easier to maintain good relationship with dudes as well. So yeah, yeah. Well, it depends on where they grew up, right? It depends on who they are and where they grew up. So that's just it.
Okay. What about you? What do you think?
I I think it's definitely. I think it would be guys. Yeah, having a relationship with guys would be easier to maintain. Um, Mainly because similar to what you said, you don't have to check in too much with guys. They just know you've got them. But also, the girl relationships or girl friendships could get complicated later on. Like if either person gets a partner and the other person isn't comfortable how close they are, that could happen. That could happen. So I don't know, but easily. So like it's gonna be harder to maintain such because you have to toe the line of okay, how frequently can I reach out before it gets weird, things like that.
I'm gonna actually increase the percentage right now. Like, after hearing that, I'm like, I'm just using experience, like my experience as examples. Generally, it's easy for me to maintain my friendships. Like generally, I know how to interact with. I know my friends and I know how to get to them. That's just it. But I would say now you talk right now, boy. I'm like, let's say 70 or 80% to 20, like in that sense, right? So yeah, so like that's tough. Or should I keep it 60s? 60s fair. 60s fair. 60s fair. 60. 60% is it's easier to keep the dude relationship, right? Things can I yeah, things can get complicated because I have seen that in the past. Not even in terms of relationships. It's just and again it depends on the person. It depends on where they're growing up. Misunderstanding sometimes and you know it's I don't want to stereotype pretty much all the women because again it depends, right? But I have seen a lot of the times with some friends I've had in the past, and some friends I have had or I still have. There tends to be misunderstanding between me and the female sometimes, right? And it doesn't need to be in a relationship context. It can just be pretty much any context, right? Which could either end our friendship or we'll have arguments and we have to hash it out. I have less on misunderstanding with dudes. That's just it. Probably because I'm a dude. I don't know, but we would have to see what the girls will say on that. Yeah. So
Do you have an opinion on what he said, or do you agree that sometimes you could fall out with your friends at times for pettier reasons or something?
Yeah, I would say so. Like petty reasons, petty reasons. Um, I will say that like as you get older, this is the weird thing with guy relationships. When your viewpoints begin to change, uh, they could like it's gonna be harder to maintain that relationship because they're thinking crazy things and they think you were crazy for not believing them. Like an example would be like I don't know if let's say you're a regular guy and then you're growing up, you're getting older, and let's say some of your friends were still on some red pill nonsense or like some insane stuff that they believe. You don't want to see them as a sole believer of like or sole follower of such like insane childish viewpoints because you've known them longer. So you try your best to maintain it, but those are bound to fail. But yeah, generally speaking, I have fewer issues with that with guys. Girls fall out mainly because relationships happen. People don't want to be in guys' situations anymore, so that goes out. And yeah, so yeah, 80-20. I think 80-20 is good.
that's fair. Again, it depends on the individual, right? Depends on the person. So that's just it.
Okay. So do you feel like when your friends are like out and about in their dating lives and everything like that, or in relationships, do you feel like your friendships are affected negatively, or they're not affected at all?
I don't think I have had. Wait,
It's like when
I'm trying to
if
think,
you
though.
if
I'm
you're
trying to
if
think.
you're friends with girls, if you're friends with a girl and she enters a relationship, she's gone. She's gone for months, bro. And then you hear from her like I don't know, a couple months later, like usually your relationship has ended or like something's going on here and there. But if she's in that like first fresh stage, she's gone. She's gone. And usually guys I think with guys like it's you understand. You're just like okay, it's calm. But like with girls, it's not. You will not hear from them. It's pictures with boo, pictures like I'm chilling and
Like,
just on red. Yeah, it's possible. It's possible.
sorry to hear that. You must have done it. Like,
Facts. In the past,
it's in the past.
all things, in the past type shit.
Oh man. Again, it just depends on if you guys were friends before the relationship or after. I don't think I've had too many problems with my female friends that I had as friends. Then they got like, somebody. Most of them I know the dude, right? So it is just smooth sailing, but we don't talk all the time. It is just like, oh, you don't automatically talk all the time as much as you used to, which is okay. It is fine, and that's life. So there's no problem with that. But yeah, there's no problem with
Do
that.
you think it's harder to maintain girl friendships or guy friendships?
I think friendships in general are hard to maintain. Um, it is easier to maintain guy friendships though, because like typically it's very surface level. It's just like, oh, how are you doing? And you can stay there for a bit, and you know that the person is still your guy. Because I feel like guys don't. How will I say this? They can be very uh, unintentional.
Oh
No,
it's
okay. I don't think that's the word I want to use.
Yeah.
But like as I said before, like surface level. So it's very easy to just maintain it as like acquaintance, but you're calling the person your friend.
Yeah, guys tend to do that. Yeah, yeah. What about you? What do you think?
I think it depends on the group of people involved in this friendship. Because, like she said, I find with a lot of guy friendships, they don't seem to know much about each other. Like, you ask them, okay, what's your friend's favorite color? What does your friend like to eat? What does your friend, do? Even sometimes, what does your friend do to a living? They can't answer that question. Girl friendships, I feel like we tend to know more about each other because we share everything as girls. Like, it's just natural for us to like vent to our friends, cry to our friends, be emotionally open and vulnerable with our friends, whereas guys tend to keep that to themselves. So I find, I don't know, because like with girl friendships, it's like if something goes wrong, like you usually run to your friends. With guy friendships, like if something goes wrong, who are you actually running to? Like,
You just
just cry,
yeah.
just cry. Sorry, yeah.
Oh wow, wow. Okay, so when it comes to like seeing your friends get into relationships and stuff like that, do you feel like it would be harder for you to continue on your friendship with your girlfriends or your guy friends when you see that they're in a relationship? I don't know if you guys get my question, but essentially, like, whenever you see your guy friends get in a relationship or your girlfriends get in a relationship, who would you hear less from? Who's not like reaching out as much, calling as much, texting as much? Who's not as engaged with your life once they get into a relationship?
Personally, if I'm friends with a guy and they get into a relationship, I kind of step back. Like that's what I would prefer to do, just so like the lines are not blurred, if that makes sense. But like with a girl, I don't know. I think because I would do the same thing. I'll just let them have it. Yeah.
Okay,
Sorry.
okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. What about you? What do you think?
I think same. Yeah, if my guy friend got in a relationship, I'm not gonna be calling him like as often as I do. I'll
Yeah.
still check up on like, hi, how are you? But I'm gonna move back, so I won't really notice as much. And then with girls, depends on the person. Some girls will be like, I got a man, I gotta go. You don't hear from them again. You don't see them.
My man, my man, my man.
You are, exactly, my man, my man. That's all. Sometimes me too. I don't want to be there because all you do is talk about your man. Let's talk about it. I'm sorry. Like I'll be like, how are you? They say, yeah, my man did this. That's nice. How are you? What did you eat for breakfast? My man eats bagels. How is that my business? Yeah, but it depends because some girls they'll still check up, call if he's okay. Like you guys can still have your fun, and it's just like I will also step back naturally because I understand like you have a man. I'm not trying to get in the way with that. I want you guys to marry. I want to eat jollof rice. I want to do bridesmaid. But yeah.
Certain takeaways I believe that we should have for this conversation of female friendships is that it is necessary for us to be honest and open with one another when it comes to grievances and issues. We can't continue to just push things underneath the rug. Like, of course, there might be minor grievances here and there because life happens, but when it comes to like the principle of things, we need to be honest with one another, or else these friendships are going to last years with so many tears and cracks and breaks in the trust and in the vulnerability that we have for one another. Of course, I'm not saying it's easy, but at the same time, if you truly value the friendship, you need to be willing to put yourself on the line in order to make it work. You need to make that sacrifice, because that sacrifice right then and there would allow you to not only grow as a person, but build your friendship in such a more wholesome way. And furthermore, female friendships rock. Sisterhood is great, and I hope to see women thrive more in their friendships and allow themselves to truly be themselves in their friendships. Yeah, that's what I gotta say about that. All right, y'all. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this video. Once again, I appreciate and love each and every one of y'all. Thank you so much. And the question for today is, what is your favorite movie that represents female friendships or sisterhood? I would have to say Mean Girls. Mean Girls is so goated. Mean Girls is so goated. I love Mean Girls. And I would have to say is there another movie that I would say represents Aquamarine. Aquamarine is so cute. I like Aquamarine. But yeah, those are my two go-tos off the top of my head. Let me know what yours is down below. All right, y'all. Thank you guys so much for watching. And remember, God made you special and he loves you very much. And you can do anything you set your mind to with Christ, of course. All right, y'all. Peace.
You know what I'm talking about? Bring it back.